Welcome to episode 3 of this Hoku tutorial series. In the last episode, we made our first job and did triage of our multispectral bands. In this episode, we're going to do window or ROI selection. ROI stands for region of interest. It's just an area of the page that you're interested in. We use these regions for statistical processing later on. These regions contain the statistics or information that gets put into the calculation of the process, and that impacts the result that you get. It's not entirely understood how this information affects the output, so best practice would say just to create regions that contain features of your manuscript. For me, that is only overtext, undertext, and parchment. So I'll navigate to a band which shows all of this. I have plenty to choose from. I'll just choose band 0. If you have other markings or stains on your object, find a band which shows as much of that as possible. To create a window or region of interest, you hold Shift and click and drag with left mouse button, and you'll see this rectangle gets created on the image. This here is your region of interest. It's represented by these 4 numbers down here. The first 2 are the coordinates of the top left corner, and the second 2 are the size of the region of interest. What we want to do is create 4 to 5 regions of interest which contain the features on your object. For me, I can put an ROI really anywhere, and it will contain the parchment, obviously, but also the overtext and the undertext. So I don't have many different options to choose from, but even choosing a different part of the page and a different size of window will give you different results. So most of your ROIs should be around, say, 1500 by 1500 pixels. You can go a little bigger, you can go a little smaller. For example, I'll put one, say, over here. This ROI would contain the clean undertext, the clean overtext, but also where the overtext overlaps with the undertext, and of course the clean parchment. When you have an ROI that you like, you can click Save next to the window field, and you'll be prompted to give it a name. You want to be as descriptive as you need to be to remember what's in the region of interest and what it looks like. So here I'll say 91 BV, that's the folio number, and I'll just say text and parchment. You can click OK and go back to your main Hoku interface, and you can see under the Windows tab, here is your region of interest. Gives you the parameters here. What we'll be doing is copying it to the clipboard when we need to use it, but you can see it gets saved at the bottom of your Windows tab. So go ahead and make 4 to 5 different ROIs of various sizes at various places on your object. You can create some that contain 1 feature, 2 features, 3 features. Make sure there's some variation so that you have different options to choose from when doing statistical processing. It's also worth noting that if the signal or text you're trying to read only appears in a specific part of your page or object, you can create a window and use that window to crop all of the images that you process later on, so you can ignore everything else on the page. Once you've created and saved 4 to 5 different regions of interest, we're going to make 2 specific regions of interest which are different than the 4 to 5 we just made. That is a noise ROI and a spectralon ROI. So somewhere next to your object, you should have a white square. Shouldn't be on the Macbeth chart. This is something different, but it should be a very bright white square. This is my spectralon here. What you're going to do is create an ROI inside that white space, and this will be used later on for calibrating our images. Once you have that ROI, you can click Save, call it something like 91 BV spectralon, and there you go. That's one of the 2 specific ROIs we need to make. The other one is noise, and what we're going to do is find an area on our object where there are no features. So that would be for this manuscript where there is no undertext or overtext. We'll find somewhere with clean parchment and make an ROI of just that. This could be one of the 4 to 5 regions of interest you made before. If not, you'll want to make a dedicated region of interest for your noise. Go ahead and save that. You can call this 91 BV noise, you could call it parchment, whatever you call it so that you remember what it is. We'll click OK. And going back to our main Hoku interface, you can see our 3 windows here. You'll have 4 to 5 like this one, but you should have a spectral and noise. Once you have the spectral and noise windows and 4 to 5 regions of interest, we have finished triage. You can always come back and create more regions of interest. You definitely will at some point later on. You'll try to find new places which contain different information, but you'll always be coming back and making new ROIs, new windows, so it's good to have learned how to do that now, and to have 4 to 5 plus the spectral and noise windows, which we can use later on. But with that, we have completed triage. We've looked through each of our bands and made some regions around the interesting features of our object. We can close our show window and go back to our main Hoku desktop. What we're going to do in the next episode is produce our very first actual result, which is going to be an RGB or color image. An RGB or color image is the first image you're always going to create when starting an image processing project. This is an important image for having a baseline for future processing, and of course it's just generally important to know what the object looks like in real life. So in the next episode, we're going to create an RGB image and save it to our computer.